just want to say hello and welcome to our New Year 2022 special edition of our Gopher Softball Alumni Zoom Rally, where we are actually celebrating the 50th anniversary of Title IX. We'll be doing this together by listening to three of our distinguished alums. For those of you that do not recognize my voice or are wondering who I am or why I voice this deep is attached to someone that looks like a middle schooler. I'm Erika Smyth. I graduated in 2015. I am a Gopher alum. I am lucky enough to have been asked to moderate this discussion between the panel. I'm also the kind of the voice of Gopher Softball when it comes to the BTM Plus and Gopher Digital Productions on any of their home games. So I'm super honored, super excited. I'll be moderating the discussion, like I said before, and we're going to open up actually with everyone's favorite, Diane, with a couple of updates. Go ahead, Diane.
Well, thanks a lot, and thanks for hosting us. Welcome to everybody that's here. It's a privilege to be able to address you. I've been asked to kind of report on the status of where we're at with the scholarship monies, and also maybe talk a little bit about Title IX. I'd like to start with Title IX, and rather than do the thing that it's like, oh yeah, it's Title IX, been there, done that, whatever. We know what it is, and on to the next. I was thinking about it, and Robin posted something on the Alumni Facebook page, and I was looking at that, 1972, 50 years of Title IX. I was a sophomore in high school when Title IX passed. I didn't even really know what it was. And it made me think back to my mom, who was born in 1920. And she was, born 3 months prior to her mother being able to vote. And I thought about that, and I thought, holy cow, that's hard to imagine. And it's hard to imagine when you're thinking about, you read between the lines, what does it say about more than half of the population and where their place is in society? It doesn't say a whole lot. So I thought, how do you engage young people when I say, like I had to walk 5 miles to practice, and then they moved it because I found where they were. It must be hard, I think, for younger people who didn't kind of live through that to imagine, because of the grandeur. We're on TV. We've got people, we've got athletes announcing athletes, which I think is even more exciting. So when you're thinking, coming from underfunded teams and lack of facilities, lack of opportunity, to the millions that now participate on all different levels, the opportunity to play has never been greater. So I think of Title IX, and I think about it being the most exciting and successful civil rights legislation since the 19th Amendment in 1920. So I think of that and touching history when I touched my mother and my grandmother in a way. And I think whenever you shake my hand, you're touching history, and it feels like it. But it means something. It really does. And I guess what I'm trying to appeal to you all is that we're going through a period in time where there were runs to try to limit the scope of Title IX as early as 2005. The Bush administration tried to limit the scope of Title IX, and they were successful, and it was rescinded in 2010. It is not just the domain of boys and men. It is something that has a secret sauce. And the benefits, when sport is done well, the benefits of sport. I mean, I don't have to tell you all this, but it's, I think, important for us to tell our stories and to listen to those and pass those stories on to younger folks to try to make this something that's real. It really is about civil rights, if you ask me. And wait, I can't tell you where my the wins and losses, but I can tell you in detail how I felt when I played. And that was powerful. And it was something that I felt connected, and I felt like I was a part of something that was bigger than myself. And I still feel that way when y'all come together. And, I was cut from the softball team. I wasn't very good, but I loved the opportunity to play, and it was a life-changing activity for me. I'm turning my page. This is how I am when I write things down. God knows, my students probably suffered. So again, we share something really special. It is something that, again, goes across age groups, it goes across sport, and it's something that I have things in common with people that played at Augsburg, people that, you know, played internationally because of this similar life experience that we have this connection. So no matter your degree, no matter your skill level or your age, we have something that is a bit magical. And if you don't feel that way, I'm just hoping that, you know, after 50 years of Title IX, we just take a little time to reflect on that. So with that, the scholarship for me is a chance and an opportunity to be a part of that, something bigger. We're over $3,000. We have a bit of a ways to go, but there's still time. And it's really us connecting with each other to try to help bring about, in an educational setting, sport in an educational setting is really what we're hoping. It's not the binary of win-lose, because we lose some of those things. And we're talking, again, maybe about, you know, young people in grade school, high school. It's really how you play the game. And that's the thing that I guess is one of the more important things. So that's one of the reasons why the scholarship is so important. I have no idea what else I wrote down there, but I'm hoping that this is really to appeal to your sense of justice, to support and be a part of this thing that's, again, once again, bigger than we are. I really did like that.
Diane, that was super powerful, so awesome, and so necessary to hear. I think that's such a great way to look at it when you mentioned justice, and super inspiring. And I just want to say thank you for sharing all of that. That was incredible. And I think just building off of what you just said, going into this panel, we do have a lot in common outside of the fact that we're all Gopher Softball alumni, right? So I know we sent out an email, Lee sent out an email, and one of the catches on it was, if you've ever wondered how hoverboards, heart mapping, and have a catcher connected to Gopher Softball, 3 very different things that all came as a product from Gopher Softball. So we're super excited to have Renee, Robin, and Paige on our panel today. They're going to be answering a couple of questions that we've prepared for them. And then obviously we're open to all of you to offer some input, any questions that you may have specifically for any of the panelists. Just to start, I'm going to have them each individually introduce themselves. I'm going to go ahead and start with Renee. If you want to introduce yourself, kind of tell us your background, let us know what you're up to right now. That would be fantastic. Renee, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm Renee Cornet, formerly known as Renee Sobraco, and now my middle name. 93, 97, played with Jody, Jennifer Lopez, otherwise known as Lopi. I think that's Clav down there. I'm not sure. I think she's too tall to fit in Zoom, so I don't know if she could get in there. I am a educator. I happen to be a superintendent right now. There's absolutely no reason that I should be a superintendent. There was a really low pool, and I was the last one that made it through, and I got it. And I think they're regretting it ever since. I live in St. Anthony, New Brighton, which is actually very close to the U of M. And I get lots of student teachers from the U of M. An active Gopher softball player right now is my own daughter's student teacher at school. So that's pretty cool. Isn't that awesome? Full circle.
It is.
So I'm not sure what else I'm supposed to share. That's anything else, leader Erika, tell me what anything else.
No, that was phenomenal. Great job.
And I think I'm the hoverboard as part. That's what I've added value to this community. I am the hoverboard part, not heart mapping, hoverboards. Not that I've invented them, I ride them. That's about all I've got to add. So thank you.
Perfect. Hey, that takes skill. All right, let's go ahead and move on to Robin. If you could introduce yourself, that'd be awesome. Robin, you're muted.
Yes, I mute myself because my dog might bark. I am Robin. I played under the name Bumpus. Panoyer is my last name now, my married last name. I do have 2 children that are, one is just took off to Alaska and one's getting into the music business. So that's going to be interesting. So do you just want me to get into my little story here? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Okay, so I graduated from a tiny small school. I tell my kids this stuff all the time because they're always trying to do what I did. So one, I'm always saying you need to practice, lift weights, all that stuff we do as coaches. I come from a tiny little town in upstate New York. When you hear New York, you think New York City. My graduating class was 38 of a tiny little, farming community. So without the opportunity that I had to come to the University of Minnesota, well, I came back, so I guess I wouldn't be stuck here, but I wouldn't have had the opportunities that I have had. I've traveled the world. I've played in Holland. I've played with, obviously, many of you. I've played with Collab with the Jammers, topped in VIPs, women's majors, softball, the PFX, the Pro League. Done a lot of playing, a lot of coaching in this game. And it's opened up so many doors. Obviously the opportunity to play in Holland and with a Dutch championship there. I recently coached in Italy for a couple of years, and my teams have done very well there. And some of my players are on the Italian national team circuit. I was named team for the Team USA coaches pool a few years ago. So that was kind of fun to finally be recognized as a decent coach. And of that nature. And with those travels and those opportunities, I've, met a lot of people who have created a lot of networks. And internationally, I've just kind of decided to just start a glove company with some of the contacts I made through Italy and Mexico and some other countries. So that's where the Have a Catch comes from, is a glove company that I have designed and working with, and where we actually, when you buy a glove from me, I send a glove to Nigeria at this time, or I'll send a custom made glove to India to a kid or something that needs to get started in the game. So right now I'm working with a team in Nigeria, and I'm so every time one of my players, or I've sold quite a few gloves, and I'm kind of, I'm going to rival Rawlings, I'm going to rival Nike, but why not? Why not me? Why can't it be me? So I'm going to give it a shot, see where it goes. And right now the gloves are amazing. They're built wonderfully. I can do anything I want with them. So the kids, in Nigeria are getting a beautiful custom made glove, not just something off of somebody's basement floor, to get started in this game. And in hopes that someday, one of those kids will have some of the opportunities that I had, thanks to the University of Minnesota and the opportunities that I had there, and the things that I've learned there, and how it's opened up doors for me.
That's super cool. Love that. Paige, if you could introduce yourself as well. It looks like you're the rhythmia mapping specialist of the group. If you could kind of give us information on what that means and what you've been up to.
Yes, I will. I'm going to start by saying my internet connection keeps going out, but it's gone out a couple times. So just bear with me if I start to sound weird or I'm glitchy. My name's Paige Polkovich. I was the class of, I guess I came in fall of 2012. So my playing years were 2013 to 2016. I majored in biomedical engineering, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do with that. I knew that I liked math and science, and engineering sounded like it could get me a good job somewhere, but it was definitely not an easy route. And ironically, I was concerned when I was graduating that, having played softball, where I had certain people that went into sales or, business and marketing or certain other degrees that said, oh yeah, being a collegiate athlete, it'll help you get a job. It'll put your resume at the top of the list. Employers want to have athletes on their team or whatever. Mine was kind of the inverse, where because I wasn't able to have some of these summer internships that a lot of my classmates did, I was very much behind the 8 ball. And I was concerned coming up on my senior year that I wasn't going to really have anything play out for me. I had tried applying for a bunch of online applications and they didn't work out. I ended up getting lucky by a connection that I had made in one of my labs. And that's kind of how I ended up getting this job. So I work for Boston Scientific, and I'm in the electrophysiology space, which is a long word for basically the way that your heart beats and whether or not it's beating at a proper rhythm, or, if you have a tachycardia or some sort of arrhythmia. I work in cardiac ablation. So these are basically all a lot of long words to say that I represent a product that physicians use to essentially map hearts of patients that have certain arrhythmias. And then we use cardiac ablation to essentially solve that arrhythmia without having to put a pacemaker, an ICD, some sort of device in. So I'm sure out of the however many people we have on this call, I guarantee one of you knows someone who has had some sort of ablation. They're very, very common if you know someone with atrial fibrillation or whatever. So it's cool. I mean, since I've been doing this, to hear just different people that I know who are like, oh yeah, my grandma had that, or my daughter had this SVT and she had this, procedure done. So it's interwoven into a lot of stuff, but I'm very much enjoying it. And I'm very happy that my choice to do definitely not an easy major has played out into something that I both enjoy doing, and I feel like I'm making a difference in people's lives and hearts.
Nice, literal hearts. Good job. Just so you guys know, Paige was my roommate when I was a senior, and I was a business marketing major. And when I never had homework on the weekends, we had the perfect view of Paige down in the lobby of our apartments studying really hard, and we'd always cheers to her every single time because she was busting her butt, and we had our homework done well before her. So all that hard work definitely paid off for you. So that's very awesome. Well, I'll segue all of that. Obviously, we have three, very intelligent, crazy, different type of lifestyles. Sometimes, Robin, to have softball still in your life, that's always so great. I think I'm going to start my first question to you, Robin. How has being an athlete and being a part of a team impacted how or who you are today?
Softball is, especially the U, it's really molded my life. I knew I wanted to coach from the get-go. So when I was at the U, I designed all of my classes and degree to become the best coach I possibly could be. That was my pursuit. So that's what I went for. Obviously, it was going to be in softball. I did have coached other sports and done well with them. But it's just something, softball becomes this love-hate relationship sometimes, but it's also the thing that has gotten me out of some really dark moments of life. We all have our stories and things of that. But softball's that one thing. You come back to that, what's the Kevin Costner movie where, it's all about baseball and life and all that stuff. Game. Yeah, right. So we have the love of the game, softball, but it's really helped me. It's, playing, it's that sweat, it's that confidence, it's the feel that you get Scoville out on the mound or on the field in general, that just gives you all that stuff that you can't explain. And so I like to go back there from time to time, whether it's coaching or whether it's playing or, it's just something I have to have in my life. And I've tried to give it up numerous times. I can't. It's in my blood. It's part of my DNA. So it's interesting how a game can do that. But you get so much more out of a game than just, the highs and lows of winning and losing. And, you get the camaraderie, the friendships, the fun that you have on the field, the feeling that you get from winning or losing for that matter, winning gracefully, losing gracefully, the lessons you learn, you fail, you pick up again, you get back at it, you strike out, you got to get up there again, do it again. Somebody hits you for a bomb and thank God your outfielders are there to save the day to win the Big Ten, I think it was Tabby that had to climb the wall for that ball, but thank God she was there, right? Last line of defense. So we learn all this stuff. It's not just a game that we can transfer into life. And I've learned, some of the things I've on the field, it's, just helped me graciously get through some hard times. And so it's just something that's always going to be a part of who I am and what I am, and always be back, always be a part of the U and try to give back and try to find other kids to help them help, get better at what they do and learn those life lessons. And, right now I have a kid struggling, and I think softball's helping her get through some of those hard times. We always need those outlets, and yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I think following that, Renee, just how has your participation in sport helped you become the leader you are today and who you are professionally as a superintendent?
I think that, it's a good question. I wish I could say I'm adding value to the world like Robin she's given gloves to Nigeria. Okay. So this, again, lower expectations here. So if I were to say like, well, how has softball impacted me? Right. So one, I've had just the friendships that I've been able to develop out of that, right? The people I know and the people that I end up finding myself accompanied with in my adulthood have also played sports, right? So they're the people I like to surround myself with because they get it. They understand this idea that being part of a team is being selfless. Being part of a team is you got something you're all working toward. And when I was playing softball at the U, I was all in, but I realized that it was going to end and I needed to kind of figure something else out. I was a little worried about that because I obviously wanted to play softball, right? You think about when you're little, that's all you want to do. And then at some point you actually see the end of that and you're like, oh crap, I better start thinking of something else. And I got really lucky, right? Like I got to be a teacher. Katie Meyer over there is my like you have no idea the feeling it feels like. You get to teach, you get to have this kid that you coach and that you've been in their life, and then you get to see them do this work. Like that, being part of the trajectory of someone else's life as an educator, you talk about the feeling you might get playing softball. That's something you can't quantify in a way that is so softball gave me this ability to say that I think someone else said it here, that you get to be part of something bigger than yourself, and always kind of having perspective that you're kind of okay, but you're really great when you're part of a team, and having that mindset. Right. So I don't know if you all heard, but there's this like global pandemic, COVID. I don't know if people have heard about it, but in schools, it's been a real problem. People really love it when you close school down, especially when they have elementary age children. They think that's great. So it's been really difficult, but being kind of forming a team in school that works toward knowing what our common goal is and being part of something, like I just feel like that's what it's like. You trust people. I learned how to trust people when on the softball field, and you learn how to trust people in all aspects of your life. Right. So like when I got married, I was like, to my husband, I'm like, well, you're going to be my teammate. Right. And he's like, yeah, like what, but for me, I needed that type of language. Like one time, like he didn't pick up my coat. I'm like, dude, like we're a team. I forgot my coat. You knew I forgot my coat. You're supposed to help me out, right? Like this is part of being a team. And so like, I can't separate that part of my life to every aspect of how I do it. So, I'm not going to write a book, all the things I learned in kindergarten or all the things I learned on the softball field, but I don't know life without the idea that living life is being part of a team and being part of something bigger than yourself.
That was awesome. I love that. Paige, obviously you're in a realm that's a little bit different too. How would you say that being an athlete or being a part of a team has impacted how or who you are today?
I like this question a lot. It's something that has been on my mind actually work-wise a lot lately. We're going through a lot of structural changes, and specifically with the pandemic, as I'm sure for the rest of you, we've had a lot of team events canceled, or national sales meetings canceled, or things that in the past were really important for like creating the camaraderie that I feed off of, which I think is a product of what we're talking about. Like I need that. I'm not someone who can go and just work all by myself and motivate myself. Like I feed off of the energy of other people. And I was just in a conversation with my bosses a couple of weeks ago, and I was saying that I said, I can motivate myself, but I am better when I'm part of a team. And I know that it's hard right now with COVID and all this stuff. I'm not asking you to make it all go away, but like we have to do something to supplement the camaraderie that we're not getting right now, because I am not struggling as a result, but I feed off of that. And I think it was kind of surprising for them to hear it, because I work with a lot of people who are older than me or are so set in this job. I should add that my job is a field role. So I don't like show up to an office. I'm not in meetings all the time. We're kind of considered not independent business owners, but that's what they like to make it seem like we are. So I know that that's part of my job. And I think that as a result of that, there's a lot of people who they're just used to it. They think it's more individualistic. We go do our thing. We come back together when we need to. But I told them, like, I know that our job isn't meant to be a team setting, but we have to do something to create that because of how important it is. And yeah, I think they came back after, a couple days later, just saying, we really appreciated hearing that. And you're right. And we have failed you in that way of, it totally has fallen off the table, and COVID has distracted us in a lot of ways, but you're right. That camaraderie, it's important. And if there's not effort being put into creating it, it doesn't just happen out of nowhere. Like, I think all of us know that too. We were put on a team together, but even still, we were doing events or things to continue to build that team bond. Just having a bunch of people in a room together doesn't create that. So anyway, that was a long-winded way of saying, I feel like being reminded all the time that 2 heads are better than 1 or 18 heads are better than 1, and just knowing how to appreciate what different people bring to the table. That's another thing too, that I could speak on forever, but not expecting everyone to show up the same, and knowing that certain people react differently, respond differently. And I think a really, really good leader is someone who knows how to understand that about people. So I think, yeah, long-winded way of saying, I think it's made me a grittier person. I think it's made me just a much better teammate, and being able to build other people up while also kind of feeding off of the energy of other people around me instead of trying to do everything myself.
Nice. I like that point of just, especially when we talk about you guys being leaders in your fields and the leaders that we've played for in the past, and the emphasis of just how everyone is so different and you can treat everyone differently, but the standard needs to be the same. And that's something that I feel like I also learned going throughout and playing for a leader like Coach Jessica Allister. And I'm sure some of you in the past as well with your coaches have learned that too. So I will move on to another question. I'm going to jump back to Robin. Was there a moment in your 4 years of playing Gopher softball that stands out to you specifically in your experience, and what was that?
A couple. One, I tell the story all the time about beating Texas A&M. That was great in regionals. It was a nice win. Everybody's looking for their home. Before I got to Minnesota, you're sending out, back then it was snail mail and VHS tapes when you were being recruited, right? So you set out that big old VHS tape in the mail, and you get some really good letters back, and you got some rejection letters. And Bob Brock was coaching down at Texas A&M then, and one of the big wigs in the game at the time. And so he said he didn't recruit out of the East Coast. So I was like, okay, yay, right, whatever. That was great, And so, and then, I committed to Linda and the University of Minnesota. And so when we made regionals, we had to go down there and play them. And, I got to pitch that win over the Texas A&M. It was a pretty sweet win. So, and the other moment was more of an educational piece for me. I had 3 coaches there, so I learned a lot through 3 coaches and, different styles. But what's really made me, I consider a pretty gosh darn good pitching coach / regular coach. But I remember Teresa and I, we butted heads a little bit, I have to admit. I was stubborn. I didn't want to change. And you think you know everything coming in. But after I started giving pitching lessons to kids and stuff, it's just a godsend. One day, I think Psycho was getting really ticked off at me because we weren't allowed to leave practice till I hit 10 pitches there and 10 pitches there. And man, I just couldn't hit that last one. And like, all right, it felt like 3 hours out on the mound, just pitching. We're talking about power lines and direct lines of force and all those kind of things. And I was taught power line, direct line of force, and nothing else on how to hit the corners. So Teresa just finally got mad one day, and after, God forbid, like I said, it was 3 hours on the mound. She comes over to me and she goes, "Would you step here And would you step there? I'm like, oh, nobody's ever taught me that before. You know what I mean? So a lot of the way I teach pitching and power lines is then all of a sudden you have the aha moments of math and physics and all this stuff, and everything connects, and then you're hitting everything on a dime, and things start to roll. So it's just something I just vividly remember that day, because it's just such a lesson. And and I've thanked Teresa for that a couple years ago, after 30 years of hemming and hawing and chewing on your own pride a little bit. But I think as you get older too, some of those things that you thought were really tough, or maybe you weren't button heads, maybe you were just like too much alike, very competitive, things of that nature, and you have to learn to deal with some of those things too. So that, it's a very, very valuable little part of practice that it just has hung with me and has taught me how to teach things better. So, yeah.
Awesome. Renee, I'm going to give you the same question. Any specific moments in your 4 years of playing Gopher softball that stands out to you in your experience?
Yeah, I don't know if my teammates would remember, but there was some tournament. I can't remember where exactly we were, but I'm pretty sure our coaches were not too pleased with our play. At some point brought us into the circle and we're like, whatever, you guys are just ridiculous. Basically like, I can't believe how bad you are. Right. And you can use all the coaching terms you want, but that was basically the message. And they actually kind of walked away from the little circle, and we're like, screw them. And like, we just kind of, as a team, do you remember it was like Kansas State, Lopes and Jody, do you remember this game? It's okay, Lope, you don't remember anything. So we went out, we were down like, I think it was like 12-2 or something like that. And Jody, do you remember like the game, like it was like the sun was setting, like it was just kind of this color of the area. And our coaches stopped coaching. Like they didn't even give us like, we weren't even giving us anything. And we took it over and we won. And in some ways, like it felt really good. Like, and I know we're supposed to respect our coaches, and I'm not trying to say that everyone should, buck authority or anything like that, but it felt damn good that they kind of like didn't really think we could do it. And we kind of like double middle fingered them, and we're like, yeah, we can when we come together. And it really taught me this idea that like, there is nothing that a group of people who are really committed to doing something can do. And I kind of go back to that game all the time. Jody, wasn't it your hit that somehow like it was the slowest, like there, like, like cartoons when people are trying to catch something and they fall down, like the ball was hit, like it was not even going like 2 miles per hour, and somehow it hit grass in the outfield and scored 2 runs. It was just the moment in time. And like, it was really, and after that, our coaches at that point kind of let us be. We got to regions that year. And the joke was, we lost because they started coaching again. I know this doesn't sound good, but like this was the internal talk in the locker room. But it really felt good. Like we never felt like together we could do anything. And it was just when others got around that, hang on, wait. Oh yeah, that's when things would get messed up. So I bring that with me all the time. Like I just kind of like, well, if we kind of rally together, I think we can figure things out. So that kind of was something that resonated with me. I remember that moment. There's lots of other stories, like when we jostled Lopi too much and hurt her, and we did a lot of different things that we weren't supposed to do. But when it comes to the game, that was the time that the game that I kind of resonates with me the most.
That's amazing. I love that. I see Coach Ritter joined us. What's up, Coach Ritter? You're muted. Where are you?
Coach
You're
Ritter,
so
you're
muted.
muted.
Yeah. I'm going to scan you guys to see sorry, my internet's not great. I'm going to scan so you guys can see the team. We just got done with practice. We are currently staying in an Airbnb in Phoenix. So here's some of them eating. They're very quiet.
Dang,
And
you guys
then
are
there's
staying
some
at an Airbnb. That's fun, Coach Ritter.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, first night. Ask me at the
Jealous.
end of it. Ask me at the end. It's all going well. We just got here like not very long ago. So,
But the more important
but we'll
part,
see.
where are the Phoenix tacos for Taco Tuesday? Where's the good Mexican food?
Yeah, they're gonna have tacos or Mexican food probably tomorrow or maybe the next day. So right now they're very hungry. They're just eating pasta. So we got up really early. I think sat on the jetway for an extra hour or something, not even to defrost, just to sit on the jetway. And then we got in here and hustled as quick as we could to the softball fields because they only had so much, they don't have any lights, and got about a 4-hour practice in. I'm gonna move away from them. They're kind of loud. So yeah, we're excited to be here. We've been doing a training trip since 2017. And I do think it's separated us a little bit from, we always bring the athletes back, but I think just kind of being outside and then being able to feel the ground ball and catch a fly ball has made the difference. And this year we didn't get to do it last year. And this year we're extra bonding by all staying in one house together.
All right.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks, Coach.
Right now, we're gonna move on to Paige is gonna talk about a moment in her 4 years, which is so fitting because Coach Ritter is here, so she'll know what you're talking about.
I can't wait to hear it, Paige.
What stands out in your experience, Paige? Let's hear it. Perfect timing for her to lose
I think my
connection.
internet is out.
Oh, you're back a little bit. Paige, we'll pause on you and we'll go because you're frozen.
Okay,
Are you
can
back?
I think
There
I'm
we go. Go ahead, Paige.
Okay, I'm back. I might need a little help from Smitty. Am I glitching again?
You're good.
Oh no.
You're good, Paige. No, she must not hear us. Okay.
Okay. I don't know why all the screens are that you guys can't hear me, but I'm just gonna keep talking and we'll see. My one moment that I could think of, which of course there's so many, but it's kind of similar to Renee's in the whole, it was a bonding moment for our team. And again, Smitty, you can fact check me on some of this because some of it's foggy, but we had a spring break trip. I don't know if it was on the last leg of it in Florida State. And similar to Renee's story of, I don't know if the coaches were upset with us. And I see Katie's on here too. She might remember as well. It was like the single hardest practice I've ever been a part of. Like it was, I swear it was 120 degrees. Our coaches had just created this brand new drill that they were really excited about for us. And it happened to, consist of us basically running around the bases for 4 hours straight, just not stopping with unattainable goals before we were allowed to be done. It was, we were all looking at each other like, did we do something? Like, what is going on? So that was hard enough in itself. And then again, I think that this was all on the same day that we thought we were done. We're like, oh, thank God, that was so hard. Like, I can't wait to eat. I'm so hungry. I'm so thirsty, whatever. We go eat, we get back on the bus and they tell us that we're going to stop at a gas station to get like Gatorades and replenishing things. And it slowly started clicking for all of us like, oh, we're going back for more. There's more practice after that. So we're not done for the day. That's good. And I just remember like in that moment, I think we all had different moments that were really hard for us. Some during conditioning, some certain games, whatever. But I think this was a collective, like everyone was struggling a similar amount. It was definitely like, for me, I remember being like, that was the closest I had been to not quitting softball, but like walking off the field. Like I was physically, emotionally, mentally, all of it done, taxed. And we made it through like you always do. And I think it was something that both brought us all closer as a team, but kind of what Renee was saying too, like when you do something really hard and you make it through, like I draw back on not that specific experience, but the whole softball as a whole, like anything that I do hard in life now, I literally find myself going back and being like, if I could play softball, a Division I sport, in some of the conditions that we did and do some of the practices and hard things that we did, like I can freaking do this. And I find myself, whether it's in my job, whether it's I mean, when I don't want to go do a workout, when I don't want to do some errand, small little menial things that I truly do find myself just saying like, you're better than that. And you've proven it in the past. And why start, I don't know, being a wuss now? So not really the most exciting story, but definitely like, I think Smitty and Katie would agree that practice was by far top 5 in terms of just a lot of character building moments.
And Paige, this isn't a fact check, but correct me if I'm wrong. When we were at that food place, we all collectively, which I think it was Coach Katie Richardson's idea, who's leading the Gophers now, to fake sleep on the bus so that the rest of the coaches thought we were too tired to go back, and it didn't work. But that was 100%, I think, Katie's idea.
It was.
I'm not proud. I'm not proud. I'm gonna turn this down. We have players in the other room. Turn it down.
It was
So
a good idea though.
yeah, and it ended up not working, but that was a very difficult practice. I do agree. That's great.
And now there's still a drill called the Florida State drill that I don't know if you guys still do, Katie, but it is lethal and it is effective when used properly. And
Yeah. Do you still do it, Katie?
Sometimes not. I mean, I feel like I'm kind of nice on that kind of thing. We don't like do it to torture them like we did it. But I did talk to Alistair and Merchant one time, and they kept calling it at Stanford the Florida State drill. And finally, one of their players was like, why is it called Florida State drill? And they were like, oh, we should probably change the name now.
no, they're not allowed to do that. It's
I know.
It's part of its origin.
That's amazing. Okay. Well, I'm down to my final question, so I'm gonna bounce it back to Robin. I think this is a really good question, just in general, that I think we've all probably thought upon a couple of times in our lives. But if you could go back in time, what message or advice would you pass on to your youngers?
I would definitely tell myself to, excuse me a moment. I would have Zoom meets at home. I would definitely tell myself, I would have, I think I would just tell myself to chill. I did a lot of stressing and worrying through college and trying to prove myself. And I definitely would just tell myself to relax a little bit, have a little bit more fun and enjoy the ride a little bit more and continue learning, maybe be a little bit more open here and there about certain things. And maybe try the foul poles a little bit more. Yeah, run them a little harder, or do them a little bit more with a team. Maybe do a little bit more team bonding. We did a lot. I can't say we didn't do a lot, but I definitely myself, I would tell myself to relax. Things are going to work out. Everything's going to be fine. The team's doing well. We're doing well. I put a lot of pressure on myself constantly to be the best I can be, which is what we do as athletes and compete. But I just think sometimes you overdo things and you over try, things of that nature. So probably get myself to calm down a little bit.
Nice. I love that. Tell myself to chill. Renee, the same question. What message or advice would you pass on to your younger self?
Great question. I don't know. Can I skip and make Paige do it first? I need to really think about this.
Absolutely.
I want to nail it. I don't know if I
Yeah.
got it.
I respect that.
There's a lot of pressure with this question. I was like, I had so many things go through my head that I'm knowing that I can't go back and give my 18-year-old self certain wisdom or character traits that I have now. I feel like it kind of limited some of my like legitimate advice that I would give. But I feel like one shift that I remember vividly making, like in my halfway through my junior year, was just kind of making the realization that I need to do things for myself. I mean, obviously you're doing it for your teammates, you're doing it for your university, all of that. But I think so much of me previously, even before college, high school, I mean, definitely in youth years, I was just playing for the wrong, not people, but I was playing to please my dad, trying to please the coaches, wanting just looking for the external validation, I guess, or how good do I have to do today in this practice in order to get playing time or whatever. And I think once I made that shift of just, and I think you can apply it to things outside of, you know, playing a sport, whether it's how hard I want to work out, how well I want to do at my job, how hard I want to study for something, how committed I want to be to some goal. But I vividly remember there being a shift of just kind of realizing that and no longer seeking it out of my coaches, and knowing that if I show up and I play and try as hard as I possibly can and I feel good about that practice, it doesn't really matter if my coaches don't think so. You know, if I showed up and again, going back to what Robin said, I mean, I think all of us are as hard on ourselves as anyone else, if not more. And that's probably why we all played Division I sports. But I was my toughest critic. And I think if I would have just let that be, you know, my only thing that I was competing against was myself, I think I would have been a lot better and I would have gotten out of my own way sooner, versus trying, feeling like, oh, I didn't do well enough for that coach today, or, oh, I tried my best, but my dad still didn't think I played well enough or whatever. It was this never ending loop. And I think I immediately saw results. One, I started having a lot more fun. I was probably more fun to play with, and I played better as a result. So I think that's something that even in my work nowadays, I just try to, you know, not doing it for my bosses or not doing it to try to, you know, show someone or prove to someone, but just genuinely because I know what I'm capable of, and I shouldn't accept anything less than that from myself. Not really advice, but
I mean, kinda. That was good. Yeah.
Thanks, dude.
Renee, are you ready? All right, you got this.
Yeah, I'll try to figure it out. I think it's the same advice I give myself now, and that is maybe shut your mouth a little more than you need. You maybe don't. I got myself in trouble a few times as a student athlete, not because of all the things one would think you could get in trouble for. Like I was a good rule follower when it came to things like, right, the coaches said, no drinking, right, 48 hours before a practice or a game, which really meant no drinking 4 or 8 hours before. So I was like very serious. I was like, we don't do that. But I got myself in trouble with things where I I may have gotten myself in trouble purely by being a smartass to my coaches when I wasn't supposed to. And I maybe wish I had not always been that way. And I wish I wasn't still that way. So I'd like to give that advice now and back in 93 and 97. So I think that's, if you all could help me with that, that would be helpful. Thank you.
I have one more lighthearted piece of advice, but it would be, don't try to park your moped somewhere where you're not supposed to, because you will get a ticket or you will get it towed, and you're just not going to beat out the campus police. You're not going to.
That's really nice. You know, I kept losing my bike seat. So I just kept riding my bike with no seat. And it was awkward and it was dangerous. It was uncomfortable if you forgot. So similar to that, don't maybe use a bike or a moped on campus. That could be a good advice as well to the young athletes.
That's crazy that they just took the seat. That's almost just like, that's not even like for value. It's almost just like a prank.
And then it kept happening. Like you would put a new seat on and then it would get
I did that
again.
Maybe once or twice, and then I just gave up on it. Jody can remember seeing me ride my bike just to the side a little bit, just kind of standing, you know. And I had all my classes were on the West Bank. And so I always had to ride over that bridge, you know what I'm talking about? So I was not a kinesiology major.
That was straight up one of your teammates. There's no way that your bike seat kept getting stolen.
Jody.
That is not random chance.
I was gonna say, did anyone else's around you get stolen?
You guys have brought that forward, something I've never considered. Thank you. Can we get more 93 to 97 grads in here so I can really get the scoop?
Remember they stole my bike and then it was too heavy and they left it at the
police station. They returned it to the police station, Jody.
They were like,
we don't want this piece of junk.
That's amazing. Well, that's all I have. I had Katie was DMing me a little bit. I think that they're a little bit overwhelmed over there in Arizona right now. I was going to see if they wanted to close out with a final update. Katie or Coach Ritter, go ahead and jump in if you feel that you're able to. Otherwise, I'll close it out. I don't know if does anyone have any additional questions? I know we have like 8 minutes. If there's anything that you want to ask these three, feel free to just unmute and ask or shoot it in the chat.
I wish Katie was on because that would have been a perfect time for her to tell her moped seat story. And if we don't find something to take up these last 8 minutes, someone will have to tell that story. You will, Smitty, because it's worth it.
Well, it doesn't look like does anyone have any questions? I'd be happy to tell the story about Katie Richardson's moped seat if you guys are interested, speaking of bike seats. So we were living in a house and
Paint the whole picture.
we were living in the house and we're looking out the window in our driveway. We had like 3 of our mopeds. We were very privileged and lucky enough that our parents would buy us mopeds to roll around into class. So I think it was mine, Bree Blanchette, and Paige and Katie Richardson's mopeds out there. And we look out, there's a squirrel just destroying the seat of one of the mopeds. Like it's just completely torn to shreds.
Stuffing all over.
And we thought it was Bree's. And we felt really bad. We're like, Bree, oh my gosh, like there's a squirrel destroying your moped seat. And then we found out it was actually Katie's and it became an enormous joke and we were crying, laughing on the ground.
And she happened to be in the bathroom at the time. So she was stranded and she could only hear the commentary, right? I don't think I was actually there, but I think I heard the story of it. But you guys, she's, whose seat is it? What's happening? And they're like, oh no, this is happening to Bree's moped seat. And all of a sudden they're like, that's not Bree's, that's Katie's. And concern immediately went to everyone laughing. And she's like, guys, someone go get him off. And no one would do it. And so Katie literally that was your guys' freshman year or sophomore. So the entire rest
sophomore
of her time,
year.
she had black duct tape all over her seat. And it worked fine. It didn't change anything about.
I think a squirrel tried to get it again and it was only her seat. So I'm not sure what was going on, but yeah, Katie Richardson, we're so
acorn juice or something.
Yeah, it just made no sense. One of those things, like Renee's bike seat being the only one getting stolen. Katie, do you have something? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna add, it's more a comment than a question, but it could maybe be turned into a question. But I'm just, I've known Sabraco actually the longest, even more than my teammates here, and so it's really just fun to check in with all of you. And I think just like hearing the stories of what you do is incredible. And I know the other people on the call as well are doing really interesting work. And I think the fact that we have this network of people doing really incredible things in the community or in their field or in their industry is awesome. And I think it's part of this like weird camaraderie that goes on beyond our 4 years at the institution. Like, what are the chances that I have a relationship with somebody that played softball 20 years before me doing really great stuff? And I had an internship with Diane, 15 years ago. And so like, it just keeps coming back. And so just like you guys showing up and being on the call and the panelists being here and just like seeing your guys' faces is like really powerful and exciting. And so I just wanted to say like a quick thank you. And if anybody wants to give a shout out to anybody else that's doing something cool, I guess that's my question of like, yeah, we have more heart mappers on our team or whatever, but I'm just so impressed with our group, and I hope we can use each other to like continue to be better. So thanks, guys.
Yeah, Katie, to Clav is down there. She should tune in a little bit. I know Clav's doing a lot in the game of softball out there. It'd be nice to hear from Clav. Clav? Yeah.
Oh, Bumpy, you called me out.
I did.
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry, I just put my kids to bed, so I'm kind of, muted and no video. Yeah, I mean, I'm still, gosh, I'm so fortunate to still be involved in the game, in many different facets, and coaching and teaching young kids, and then also running a big tournament. Erika, I'll see you out here this summer, right? I think.
Yes,
right?
yep.
Erika,
we're coming down.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was you.
It's me. It's Clav. Yeah.
You know so much.
We've been talking. Yeah. So we run. I get to stay involved in the game, and Robin, I was going to tell you that you need to hit me up after this, and we need to get your glove out at the event and in front of everybody who's there,
Sounds good.
and see what more we can do with it and help it get out there. So
Good. Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah. So is there anybody else on the line we can call out?
I mean, if there's no volunteers, then I think we can wrap this up. I just want to say thank you to guys. What an awesome panel. Just Renee, Robin, Paige, so insightful, so powerful. It's so good. I know when we all met beforehand, and I was talking to some of you guys about just like how empowering it is to see women in these positions, and it's so necessary for people to be representing in different jobs and everything else. Obviously, we have a lot of people in softball, which is awesome, but people in the industry, whether it's Mapping Hearts as a superintendent for young girls that want to be those type of leaders, it's just so powerful and so awesome to have this great group of women that came from the same spot and doing different things and being leaders in that sense. So thank you guys for just being a part of it, for answering the questions, for everyone that tuned in. I'll close it out. I don't know if Diane, Mary, if you guys have anything, Gretchen, Katie.
I would just say I dropped a link in the chat. We are celebrating, in addition to the 50th anniversary of Title IX, it is also 50 years of Gopher women's varsity athletics. So if you want to check out the website, there's history, some highlight stories, some really great content there. So peruse that at any time.
Awesome. Well, we'll close it
Can I
out.
just say one
Oh,
thing more?
Go ahead, Renee.
I just want to do another shout out to my little one, Katie Meyer over there. I know she's not little to all of you, but she's my little. Thank you, Katie Meyer. You're the best. She also just, you could never strike the kid out. She's pretty amazing. Best eye in the game. But I just, she pulled me out and pulled me into this. So I appreciate that, because I have been kind of not been a very good alum. This is my therapy session. So I'm in, whatever you need from me, call me up. I'll do
And
my
you're
part.
really funny. I really enjoyed you.
Yeah, it's the only way I got my job, right? The only way kids would listen, right? So thank you. And I will do my part to add value. So thank you. Thank you, Katie.
Shout out to Erika. Well done.
Yeah, great job, Smitty. Thank you
very
for
good.
doing this.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Putting love on
All
you.
right. Thank you,
Good night,
guys. Have a
guys.
great rest of your week. We appreciate it.